Welcome to the party, nerds. Here we are on location for the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm your host, Aaron Simple. With me today, my co-pilot,
Erik here.
That's right. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening in to us here on location. You can find us on social media and YouTube at the Nerd Rundown. You can listen to our podcasts on all the major podcast services. Hi, Erik. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why we're on location tonight?
We are,
or where we are.
I don't.
Why we are.
I don't understand why you keep using
and why
this,
he's going more
this accent. It makes it sound like we're in some backwater hillbilly thing. We're in my basement, and we are in.
Is that not a back hillbilly?
It's not a hillbilly. Well, to some it probably is. So, yeah. So we are in my basement. We are in. Not our usual place that we record when we do it from my basement. We are actually in we're actually in my movie theater that I built with my buddy Kent's help and my buddy Matt Cheever. Kent Simpson and Matt Cheever, both big shout out to them for helping me put this thing together. Couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, it's amazing. And then of course my builders did a great job to kind of finishing everything off. So
yeah,
pretty great. Got myself a 126-inch screen.
Yep.
At the time they only had 1080p, so I got a 1080p projector and then 5.1 audio in here. It's wired for 7, but I never put the other 2 speakers up. I just didn't.
You don't need it.
Yeah,
it might cause an earthquake.
It sounds pretty awesome.
Which sounds really awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we're excited to have the Nerd Rundown podcast on location here tonight, where we have a fantastic show for you all. We'll obviously cover. I already said obviously. Dang, that's just right off the bat, but it is pretty obvious that we'll have a great show for you all.
Will, yeah.
We'll cover the latest news on the rundown.
Yep.
And then we're doing doing things a little bit different here on location.
Yep.
We're going to interview each other and answer each other's. We came up with the nerd questions this week, and so we're going to be interviewing each other with some nerd questions. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Really, really excited to see what questions Erik chose from you.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we get into it.
No spoilers.
I may adjust them as we go along.
Okay.
I've got my idea of what I want to talk about, but we'll see how things go.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And with that, let's get to the rundown. First on the rundown, really awesome surprise here early in the week here. The new full trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, starring Paul Rudd himself, Mr. Ant-Man himself, and what's that?
Kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah, what's his name? I want to say it, but curly hair. Yeah. Looks like my nephew Jack a little bit, but that's gonna drive me nuts. Anyway, so Paul Rudd is the main star, and Carrie, gosh, what is her name? It's gonna drive me. Look it up. Anyway, so it looks like it's gonna follow the story of Egon's grandkids,
right,
or his daughter and her kids, which are like they look like they could be descendants.
Absolutely, one of them for sure.
Egon.
The daughter,
yeah.
Yep.
And it sounds like in this movie, Egon.
Finn Wolfhard,
yes. And then what's the mom's name?
McKenna Grace.
No,
that's Phoebe. That's the daughter. That's
Carrie
the one
Coon.
That's really Carrie Coon is the mom.
Yeah.
But the McKenna Grace plays the sister. So I think Finn Wolfhard plays Trevor, the older boy, and then Phoebe is the daughter, McKenna Grace, and she looks. They did an amazing job making her look like Egon.
Well, they did a great job making them look like brother and sister, and then that they could they could have came from
Right.
Egon himself. So
Yep.
really great trailer showing Egon found this town, which may be tied to, some sort of fault, or not fault line, but some sort of ghostly stuff, and
Yeah.
really cool. It kind of, he left all the Ghostbusters may have retired, and he left all of the Ecto One and some of the equipment
Yeah.
to them. So great little. Let's get you down on the trailer, because I could talk about the plot of it and I really don't even know it.
Yeah. So my understanding is of the plot, at least, is that he moved. He discovered this mine because the guy who designed the building that originally was haunted owned this mine in this little like Kansas town or something like that, and so he thought maybe something suspicious was
If you
going
remember
on,
when they were in prison and they were in the first movie and they were looking at blueprints, he's like, this person designed it, like a throwaway line in 1984.
Yep.
Now it becomes what looks to be a good premise for a movie.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's, at least with the trailer, what I saw so far of the trailer that that we watched was really great. I mean, it really made me excited to see this movie. The first, I think, trailer that I saw looked good, and I was like, "Oh, this looks great," and then they popped out with that little bit with the Stay Puffed, the little miniature Stay Puffed marshmallow guys and Paul Rudd, and I was like, "All right, that's pretty clever."
Yeah.
And then this trailer here had some really cool bits in it that I was like, "Oh my gosh, that looks awesome!" They have this where they've converted the Ecto One car where they has like this slide out piece that that they shoot from, and then they put like the trap on a remote control car, and they had that going, and I was like, dude, that is awesome.
So
It was so neat, and to see this, to see and to hear that, that siren from the Ecto One, it's so it's so unique to just that, to that movie and to that vehicle and stuff. And so and then I have to say, the very end of the trailer where you get to hear Dan Aykroyd's voice, I was like, oh yes, that's gonna be awesome. So I think I hope that
and
they
he's
do
in his
it.
bookstore from the second one.
Right. And so what I'm hoping will happen is that you will get a taste of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and I'm hoping Ernie Hudson. Really, I absolutely adore Ernie Hudson. I think he's just amazing. So I'm hoping that all of them will show up, but I'm hoping that it's going to be like a hand.
Yes or no on that?
Well, I mean, I know they're going to be
confirmed.
I know that they're in the movie, but I'm hoping that it's one of those like kind of pass the torch type situations. So they're not going to be in it like a ton, but it's just going to be like, okay, here's these kids are going to be the new Ghostbusters going forward, which I think would be cool. I think it'd be pretty cool. Paul Rudd, again, ageless wonder.
Handsome devil.
Yeah, he is super handsome, and he just looks like he's still the same age as was 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So yeah, looked good. What did you think?
I loved that it had the feel of the magic of the first one.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's probably due to the son of the director is directing this.
Yes.
The son of the original director.
Ivan Reitman's kid.
Son, Jason Reitman is his name. Is directing this, and you could tell he put a lot of care in crafting it to bringing, tying it to the original ones.
Yeah.
Don't know if the Kristen Wiig all Ghostbuster led female will tie into this at all, but I feel like they were in that. That was a terrible movie, so I can't really remember it.
I never even saw it. Yeah,
it's not really worth it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So,
but
which is a shame. It had a great cast.
Yeah, it had all the workings. It was a dumb story.
Yeah,
really dumb story. Anyway, where was I saying? I was saying. Jason Reitman. Yeah, put a lot of care and craft into it.
Yep.
A lot of the visuals, those pink flying stars. Yes. They used a lot of the same. I even watched a video said they used the same visuals off of the original movie for that.
Oh, no kidding. Because that was a super cool effect, and I did see that in the trailer, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And and then it looked like Gozer's climbing out of
That's
that.
what I thought
That
I saw
haircut's
too.
really unmistakable.
Yep, that I thought I saw Gozer come. Looks
And the
like Rick-
dog, the clumsy dog coming out of the Walmart.
If Rick Moranis is in this, I will absolutely lose my mind.
Oh, I didn't
Like,
even think about
if
that. But you know who? What's the
Sigourney
secretary?
Weaver is supposed to. Oh no, Annie Potts.
Annie
Yeah,
Potts,
mhm.
reprising her
Ghostbusters. What do
role.
you want?
That was a great line where she said, wasn't really great at keeping the power on, you know,
Right,
because
yeah.
power shutting down all the time.
Yeah,
So love this. I am so excited for it. I cannot wait for it. I've now seen enough to know I don't need to see anything more from this
I think you're probably right. Yep.
to have, you know, I'm gonna be watching this.
Yeah. Yep. I think you're probably right.
And
yep.
so very, very excited about it.
Yep. Me too. Looks good.
Cool.
Can't wait.
Next on the rundown, a little bit of a sad story, at least for me, because I was actually really looking forward to this and thinking it was a good concept, good idea. But
Right.
The Die Hard prequel named Just McClane, it's not named Just McClane. It's Just McClane.
Right.
Do you get it?
McClane. Right. Not just McClane. Yeah.
Just McClane.
Just McClane.
Just Jack.
Just Jack.
So the Die Hard prequel, McClane is now dead. Now that Disney owns the franchise, so you know when a new studio buys another studio,
yeah,
a lot of the projects get pitched to the new studio execs. Okay, nope, not gonna put my name on that.
Yeah.
And so this was a really interesting idea where it was going to feature an older John McClane in Japan getting an award for his heroics at the Nakatomi Tower.
Okay.
Or Plaza.
Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, Plaza.
Yeah.
And
Century City.
So, yeah, and then the other half of the movie would be taking place in like 1979, 1980 with a young detective named John McClane.
Oh, okay. All right.
And showing kind of his origins as a detective and stuff, which I thought that was so clever. But it would be a little weird knowing that only like 6 years later, the Bruce Willis that shows up in Die Hard, it looks totally different than that. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that a lot of angles I could have taken with that. I think that's more of a really cool like the middle of the cool angles.
Yeah.
But no more. I think that means Die Hard is now died hard. Died hard. Dead hard.
It's dead.
So what do you think? And we know Bruce Willis hasn't really shown up for a role in like 6 years.
Yeah, he's phoned pretty much everything in at this point. You know, I'm not sad that it's going away. I think we got 2 really great movies out of that series.
Yeah.
We got a couple of okay movies out of that series.
I enjoy it. I think 2 and 4 are very similar. In the sense of like I'd put them on at like a 7.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and we've talked about this before. The legacy of Die Hard is that because the first movie was so good, and because the third movie was so good, that you have these other movies that had they been on their own, you would have been like, holy smokes, have you seen Die Hard? You know, and he like gets trapped in an airport and they crash these planes. I mean, it's bonkers. It goes like crazy. You've been like, this is the amazing thing, you know? But compared to the original Die Hard, you're like, yeah, that's okay. It's the formula, you know, and so yeah, I think
oh my gosh.
I'm not
I just spilled popcorn. Here's the popcorn for the ambiance, and I'm so sorry, Eric.
This is why he can't have nice stuff. So why I can't have nice stuff.
This is why Banana made me bring a lid down here on my drink.
So no, I'm not sad.
Sorry, that was really dumb of me.
It's all good.
Okay. Just eat it.
We'll take care of it later. Can I eat this off your crotch? Please? That'd be really good. I just want that piece right there. I'm not trying to touch you. So that was actually going to be one of my questions in the list was, can you show me on the doll where the man touched you? You know, that's right.
Wow.
No, I'm just saying.
That's the dirtiest you've ever been on.
Probably, yeah. So yeah, anyhow, like I said, I'm not sad that it's going away. I really don't. You know, and maybe they'll come up with some clever tool, because I mean Disney's in the business of making money.
Yep.
And so if there's money to be made in that particular franchise, they'll figure out a way to make it. You know, maybe just not that particular story, and maybe just not that particular style. But I can bet dollars to donuts that you'll get a Die Hard reboot at some point, 5, 10 years down the road. It's not going to be Bruce Willis. It's going to be somebody different. And we'll see what happens. I mean, for those of us who haven't seen the movies that made us, you really should, because you really struggle. You really see what a struggle it is to make movies. And then you see how gigantic these movies are afterwards. And you think, gosh, why was it so hard? Like, why would you, like, these people are all really good at their jobs. Like, why is it so hard for you to trust them to do the stuff that they want to do? But
studio execs.
Yeah, studio execs. So
it might be the most like arrogant people out there.
It's really weird. So
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I really hope we don't ever get Die Hard rebooted. I was really hoping that we'd get more, but now that I know it's done, I can close the book on my Die Hard life, revisit the ones I love, and I can't ever. It's like what's a role you can't ever see another, Rambo.
Yeah, you can't see anybody recasting Rambo as anybody but Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Same thing with like Schwarzenegger and some of the Terminator movies.
Right.
Like they've continued to try and replace or make him into a good guy.
Yeah.
Every single time,
right.
And it's just like it. And the second one, I mean, it worked, because it was a flip flop from the first one, and you had such a dichotomy between how gigantic Arnold Schwarzenegger is as a human being. Like, you could buy that he was basically a tank covered in flesh, in Terminator, in the original Terminator. And then in the second one, you flip flop it, you make him a protector, and then you slim down your Terminator and make him into like this really terrifying, like the first one was a terrifying killing machine, but now you've got this other one that's even more terrifying because he looks like he looks like a skinny guy, or he can make himself into whatever he wants. So
it goes. So the prequel McClane, no more. And that closes the book on Die Hard. So we salute you, Die Hard, for sure, for giving us what we've gotten. Is the first 4 movies were at minimum 7, for me.
Right.
That's a damn good.
It's great.
I mean, for some reason this franchise gets a lot of hate, and you kidding? Like the last one, I couldn't even finish it, and that hurts me.
Yeah.
But it's not a Die Hard book, so.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Next on the rundown.
Yes.
There are reportedly 9 MCU TV series in active development for Disney Plus.
Really?
So that's awesome to hear that we're getting more Disney Plus TV shows, because we've enjoyed what we've gotten so far.
Yeah. Okay.
WandaVision,
Loki,
and Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Fantastic stuff. And so to get more, I mean, I know. So active development means
Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye, and that's one of the next ones.
November 23rd or 28th?
November 24th.
November 24th.
Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
Which also puts in the question, though, when is Miss Marvel going to debut? Because the report came out last week, and we covered it.
I gotta think that she's in December, the last week of December.
Yeah, it's weird that they would overlap their shows, though.
I think probably what's his count? Do you know? Is it 8 episodes?
We don't know.
So I have a feeling it's going to be 6, because that would put you right towards the end, and you go straight from Hawkeye into Miss Marvel maybe that last week, because you get Thanksgiving week after, and then 4 weeks of December. So maybe you get those your 6, and then maybe that last. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But also active development could be like, we got a pitch yesterday on a TV show.
Yeah.
So it has a wide spectrum, or
9 shows. That's crazy.
But it could
Hawkeye,
be
Miss Marvel.
I mean, there's characters that are getting shows that we haven't seen.
We know we're getting another Loki.
So
does that count as 3 then? So we have another 6.
So that could count. Yeah, I mean that Loki season 2 could be an active. I'm sure they're in active development, whether that's writing or way pre-production.
Sure.
Right? So exciting though. We know of a few that's coming out. It's the ones that are unknown that's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to see like a Nova show. I want to see some X-Men stuff. I want to see. I mean, Nova would be great because we need like we haven't gotten in the MCU one of the big space heroes.
Yeah.
I don't consider Thor to be a big space hero. Like Nova is in space and he's really part of the cosmic side.
Yeah.
Thor's more classic Marvel in the sense of like he's more tied to the Avengers than the cosmic Marvel comic storylines.
Yes.
Even though he's part of it. So like Nova, Adam Warlock, those kind of guys would be awesome to see, especially if at some point we're going to need to get to go Galactus. And Galactus, it's going to take the entire everything to go up against him. So you just need to start expanding your cosmic side of the MCU along with the cosmic heroes that are by himself, because Guardians of the Galaxy is a cosmic team.
Yeah.
They're a team of heroes.
Right.
And what else have we gotten from that side? Miss Marvel is a cosmic hero, but she's representing the females. Now let's get a cosmic male hero in there, and Nova is a great way to start.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, She-Hulk is in. They may have finished shooting recently, right? There's some good stuff out there. More MCU.
9. That just blows me away. I'm really, that's awesome. I mean,
well, it shows you. So Kevin Feige's very well known for always having at least 5 years planned out.
Yeah.
So he's got stuff planned right now to probably 2030. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
With the way it's expanding.
You have to do that if you're gonna be successful. You have to be strategic like that, and not just think about what's happening now. You need to be thinking 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Especially for a cinematic universe like this, you've got to know where you're headed and where you want to finish. At least wrap up that section, and move on to the next. So. Yep,
and they definitely lit us up with where they're going next for a little bit with the end of Loki. So
yeah,
looking forward to what else. I love these announcements from Marvel when they do these big things, these big events, and they start announcing stuff. We get excited about what there is.
Yeah.
All right. This last week, next on the rundown, very busy week for some big trailers that came out.
Yeah.
We'll start with the House of Gucci.
Okay.
Because what a trailer this was. This looks like an incredible movie coming out from director Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
You have Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, Al Pacino, Lady Gaga, Jared Leto. There was another big one in there, I feel like, but
there's a Dustin. No.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
That's what it was. Yeah. So House of Gucci, about the story of Gucci Mane himself, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
It's Adam Driver's the Gucci guy, or is that who it is?
Yeah. What's Gucci's first name? I don't know.
I'm not a Gucci.
Mr. Gucci.
I don't think I ever owned anything Gucci, or even I didn't have any desire to own anything Gucci.
You could own like a pair of underwear with gold
linings
or something.
Yeah, I don't.
Like,
that's never
what
been
Gucci
my
you gonna wear? It's not for us. It's for the 100 millionaire.
Yeah, I guess. My personal thought on clothing, as it is that it is the biggest waste of money ever. So I'm not a clothes person. My brother and my dad are like huge clothes hogs. They love their clothes.
I love clothes.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan.
If you've noticed, I'm wearing my On Location clothes today.
Yeah, I mean, you look very, very festive.
I'm on location.
I'm rocking my old school 1960s Batman t-shirt.
Batman 66 with the shark spring.
Love it.
Okay, so House of Gucci looks incredible. Lady Gaga, just submit, like, she is incredible in this trailer, and you could tell she's going to be up for some Oscar consideration.
The trailer looked really good.
If the movie does well, she will.
It looks like a mafia type, movie, and I mean, I don't know any of the history of Gucci or whatever, but it sounds
he gets shot.
Yeah. So
Spoiler alert.
yeah.
It's not. They put it in the trailer. It's not like.
yeah, but it definitely has a lot of intrigue, a lot of drama, and you got a lot of really flamboyant characters.
Yeah.
It looked like, and the cast looks just downright awesome. And
strong cast.
Ridley Scott, uh,
he hasn't won an Oscar
yet. Yeah, and he puts out some great stuff from time. He'll put out a bomb every once in a while, but a lot of the stuff that Ridley Scott does, he's just a great director.
Yeah.
He really is. So
I can't believe he didn't win for Gladiator. Maybe he did win. I don't think he did, actually. I think
so.
the trailer said Academy Award nominee Ridley Scott.
Right.
Which sounds so weird.
Yeah, because you think about Alien, but Alien 1979, I think is when that one came out. There's no way you're going to win an Oscar for a horror movie. Like they're never going to do that. But
how did Gladiator not clean house?
Well, I think didn't
Russell
Crowe won because he won like back to back. He won that one, and then he won the next year for Cinderella Man, I think, or something like that.
Which pissed me off because I didn't want him to win back to back after Tom Cruise. Or
Tom Hanks had won. So yeah. So.
Anyway, so it looks incredible. Great music in the trailer. A little bit of a remix of an '80s song we've been trying to figure out since we heard it, but it's one of those trailers I could watch again. Like it's an entertaining trailer.
Yeah, it definitely leaves you. I think sometimes the trailers you'll watch them and they give away too much of the movie.
Right.
This definitely leaves you wanting.
Yeah, you don't really know the plot of it. I mean, you do and you don't.
Yeah. But anytime you do these historical ones, people can just, if they want to take their time and read it and look at it, you're
3 minutes to Google it.
to actually, look at the Wikipedia page and you're caught up. You're like, oh, okay, great. But set design, costumes, music.
It says period piece. So
the acting, everything in this trailer had it all and made me, I'll definitely take Stace to see it. We'll go for sure. So yeah.
So looking forward to that. King Richard another trailer that came out this week, starring Will Smith as the father of Venus and Serena Williams, and their rise to stardom looked incredible as well.
Yes.
Great performance by Will Smith. Very very well known that their father was a hard man on him. And this kind of looked like it made him a hero a bit.
Yeah, so he reminds me of very much of Tiger Woods' dad, where or is it Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's dad? You have these fathers, and Stace watches the Selena series on Netflix, and I remember watching the movie. I remember watching the movie a long time ago. And you had Edward James Olmos as her father in that one, and he and oh gosh, that dude can do no wrong.
Yeah,
he is just an amazing actor. So,
the best of all time.
Yeah. So, I think it's hard to tell a story about a hard man driving his children to greatness, and no doubt, Venus and Serena are the two greatest doubles champions and doubles tennis, competitors of all time. They just are incredible. And even as individuals, they were tremendous.
Serena's the most decorated tennis player of all time.
She is, and so it's hard to when they are so dominant as doubles, and then they have these singles careers also, and one of them becomes more and more successful too, that that can cause divisions. But when you have a man like their dad who is so driven and so this is where we're going, I think it makes it easier for the girls, at least from my view. It probably makes it easier on the girls for one to be maybe a little more successful than the other, because they both know the goal was to get them where they were, and they both were successful in getting where they needed to go. So
and even Venus, I mean, Serena is the most decorated male or female tennis player of all time.
Yeah.
Venus, it had her time as the best in the world.
She was
Wimbledon champ. All the major champs. So, and just Serena just kind of outlasted her a little bit, maybe because she was younger and started at a younger age and just had that. But
John Bernthal's in it.
Yeah, John
Bernthal. I saw he was in the trailer.
There was a guy who when they were hit, he's like, "Let me see what you got," and they hit it, and he's just staring at him because like in astonishment. He looks so familiar. I can't pick him out.
And is Adam Driver in this also? Was he in that? I thought I saw him in that.
No, that was The Last Duel. So we watched.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The Last Duel.
That's right. They all run together.
Yeah. So well, anyhow, I have a feeling this is gonna. At least I'm hoping so for his sake. I'm hoping this sets Will Smith up for an Oscar nomination and potentially a win because he looks amazing.
He looks amazing.
He looks the part.
His accent, his bad grammar. It was like perfect match.
Yes. Yeah.
It was so. It'll be interesting to see how. I mean, this past Oscar season was a snooze fest, a lot due to COVID.
It was
So now we're going to get a flood of just like really awesome movies, and it's going to be a really like big Oscar race next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then the last one was a trailer that came out this week for the only two fans in the world, Erik Hare and Morgan Santo. The Walking Dead season 11.
Yep. I think we're just the two guys hanging on.
So.
I can't wait. I don't know why they haven't just given us screeners. So we do have a small podcast, but why don't you just give me a screener so I can get it all watched and have it ready and reviewed. So
this is to be down here in the cinema all by himself.
Yeah.
This is the Walking Dead came and they got their heads chopped off.
Yeah, it's and I told you, we watched we watched it. We watched the Walking Dead trailer, and it to me it's like it's like football season or any sports season, right before you get into it. Everybody has hope in spring training. When you're a baseball fan, everybody has hope in the beginning of there, and then same thing in preseason for football. Everybody like,
starts out.
It's like, hey man, we've got a chance this year. I think we've really got a chance. And then halfway through week 4 or 5, you're thinking to yourself, God, if we could get across the finish line at 8-8, I'd be thrilled. And it feels like that's the way it is with The Walking Dead every time. Like they have just too many dang episodes.
We watched the trailer before this, and my first thought, and throughout the trailer thought was, this looks terrible.
Yeah.
I just don't recognize. I mean, you have Daryl and Carol.
Daryl.
I've never realized that. Daryl and Carol from the first season, and that's it.
They are the only ones left from the first season.
Because when did Lauren Cohen's character come?
She didn't come in until season 2, I think, when they got to the farm. They got to her farm with her dad Herschel
and her sisters. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
she have sisters.
Yeah. So
and she got with Stephen Yeun's
She was with Stephen Yeun's character. Yep. Who met an untimely demise with
Negan.
His interaction with Negan. Yeah.
Who is still on the show?
Who is still
now a good guy. It's like a damn soap opera.
It is. There's really a lot of stuff. I mean, I have to say the Negan character, I don't know what the comic book did with him, but he's come a long way. And Rick's kids really are the ones who saved him and brought him back to where it is, and I think they did a decent job of that. But I don't know.
Is the girl on the show?
His daughter is still
who is it?
His daughter is still on the show. She's very young. She's like 10 or 11, I think, at this point, because they did a time shift last year. They did a time shift last season where they skipped forward like 5 or 6 years. And
so let me ask this. They started the show out like, hey, we need to get to this spot like DC or something. I feel like they were going to DC or something in the first season.
Yeah,
Like the goal was to get
the
north.
CDC. They were trying to get the CDC in Atlanta is where they started out. That was where they wanted to get to because they were looking to see if they could figure out. They were trying to get the CDC headquarters in Atlanta because
But I
they
feel like
wanted
they had to get to a city up north.
well, so
and it was obviously going to take.
yeah.
Said obviously.
So yeah, so after like season 4 or 5, I think they went. Maybe it was longer than that. They made their way up to Alexandria, just outside of DC,
Yeah.
and that's where I think you're thinking that they.
So when they got there,
yeah,
nothing happened.
Well, they got to Alexandria,
happened,
and that's when Negan. That's when they found Negan and the saviors, and that's when things really went bad.
It didn't save the world like they thought it would.
No, and they,
so then now what's the point of the show?
Well, there is no point at this point. There really isn't. They
just trying to survive and they're out in the woods.
It's basically, and I think that's the part that we've really gotten lost into. It's like, okay, well, we're at what season
11.
Season 11. So you need to have an end game here where they need to either rebuild, because you either need to rebuild or they need to come up with some sort of cure or something, something that can do something to
give some light to give some
sort of light and closure, because you just can't have these relentless. And I think, Frank Darabont, who was the original showrunner, was so great at
directed Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption, and then he also did probably the worst movie ever, like as far as like the worst ending to a movie, just from a dramatic, like not the worst movie ever, but The Mist. Did you ever see The Mist? Like the end of that movie was so sad. I was like, oh my gosh, that's just horrible. That's a horrible, horrible movie. And for a way for a movie to end. And but actually, it was a really fun movie. Like it was a good movie, and I'm not much of a horror guy, but I actually really did enjoy The Mist. But anyhow, Frank Darabont ran the show. When he ran the show, it really, really did well the first couple of seasons, and then they kind of limped along afterwards. And I guess
kept becoming the same show over and over again.
And it's so formulaic.
We dipped out in season 4 after the governor.
The governor,
came back and they rammed through their place. It was just. Like it's too bad because when it was at its peak in those first few seasons, it was up against Game of Thrones. It was
really good.
Now I'm not even sure it beats CW numbers.
I don't know. It's really bad. I mean, it was very, very well hyped, and then they just never really knew what to do as far as ending it. And so at this point, I'm morbidly curious to see how.
It's kind of back to Lost in a way. Where Lost in the middle of season 3 said we're going to end season 6.
Yeah.
After season 6, and that's it.
Yeah.
Walking Dead never did that. Then so they
were making money hand over fist, and I think that's the thing is AMC was making money hand over fist, and
so was Lost. Lost had better numbers before that, so it doesn't matter. Be better.
Yeah.
So that's the rundown. Good week of trailers. There was a 1-minute Shang-Chi trailer that was released. Not a whole lot of new footage, but some. Cannot wait for
a little more of the fighting. Like it looked like
a little bit more of the 10 Rings action.
Yeah, a little more of the 10 Rings. I did go see. I took my wife to see Jungle Cruise last night.
Yep.
It was great. I loved it. I really did love it. If you like The Mummy,
been loving this movie.
Yeah, I've been excited for this movie for a while, and mainly because I find Emily Blunt immeasurably charming. Like she just is such a charming person.
Oh, so charming.
Even The Rock, I find to be a very charming. He's a very charming, charismatic guy. I'm charmed. And then the brother, who's the brother again?
Jack Whitehall.
Yeah, he really stole the movie for me.
He's getting big, and
he was really, really great. His comic relief was really good. He had a couple of dramatic scenes that he turned in that were really, 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 really good. But he played the great role of the kind of fish out of water, where the Frank character from The Rock and Emily Blunt, even Emily Blunt's character was more prepared for a lot of different stuff. he shows up and he's like, it almost reminded me of Spaceballs, where he's got like all this luggage, you know, and like the industrial strength hair dryer and all that stuff, and Frank's like, that's not going on my boat, you know, it's like throwing stuff overboard. So it was really great, you know, and so if you liked The Mummy, if you liked the Mummy movie that they did with Brendan Fraser, and then if you liked the first couple Pirates of the Caribbean movies, at least for sure the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, then you will like this one. I think it's a fun movie. Set your expectations to have a good time and enjoy a good movie. I mean, it
turn
really
your brain
was,
off.
turn your brain off and just.
It's not gonna cure cancer.
No, it's not. It's
win
not
an Oscar.
right. But it's a fun.
Not
movie.
not every movie needs to.
No, and I love that they really integrated, because I mean, if you've ridden the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland or Disney World, you know that they tell all these like really bad jokes, and so they really did a great job of integrating these bad puns
jokes,
in the movie, and you know, you could the backside of water. Like I absolutely love the backside of water. You know, it's like the guy's like, it's like the front side. It's like, you know, it's anyhow, it's really, really great. It's really great. So, so if you get a chance, go see it. Go see it in the theater. You know, go see it in the theater. It looks great on the big screen. You know, I mean, there's concerns about getting out and everything right now, but honestly, go support theaters, go support movies, and you know, if you want to see that, go see something, but get it back to the theater quick.
Sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you for joining the rundown.
Yeah.
All right. So we're doing things a little different on location.
On location.
Our special segment in our is our nerd box. Basically, we're going to the nerd box.
Nerd box.
We're going to ask each other some questions that we came up with.
Yes.
Erik cracks open a cold one. We're sponsored by Cherry Cola, zero sugar.
Cherry Coke Zero. We are not sponsored. We are not sponsored by them.
Don't say that. You'll get in trouble.
Yep.
All right. So you want to pull up your questions? I'll ask the first question.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to hear it.
All right. Is that burp? All right. First one.
We're professionals.
Totes. First question.
Okay.
What is your all-time best movie theater experience?
My best Independence Day.
Oh,
the premiere of Independence Day was
when you all went.
When we all went.
Yeah,
I've talked about it before. Yeah. It really was one of my favorite movie. I have two, actually. I will sneak in two, because the Independence Day one was great because we had so much fun with just the whole big group of people going. You know, it was just absolutely a great bunch of people that I worked with at the time. I was working at the car wash, the Dazzle's car wash, and so we just had so many people from work there, and all my friends and stuff, and so it really was just a magical night. And I mean, anytime you go see, I think people lose track of how important premiere night can be, especially for like rabid fans. You know, like if you're a real big fan of something, gosh, man, go try and get out on opening night, because you will not be disappointed. And that's why I think I love those midnight shows, as much as I do, because they were really great, because you get that sense of camaraderie. Like everybody there is super excited to see.
Both my top two are midnight shows. Yeah,
I mean, I know I did a Harry Potter when the Harry Potter movie number 7 came out, the last the part 1. They did a movie marathon like beforehand, and so I went and saw like 4 Harry Potter movies before number 7 premiered, and it was great. It was so much fun. I had such a great day hanging out at the theater, and you know, it was really good time. So I would say my second one is probably not as clean as it should be, but I remember I went with like 4 or 5 buddies one night to see the original Kings of Comedy with D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer,
Bill or Steve Harvey,
and
Bernie Mac.
and Bernie Mac. And I remember I had like this giant and I remember a couple of us had like those giant starter jackets, and everything. And we had broken them out of like storage because we weren't wearing them anymore. But we loaded them up with beer. And we went into this movie theater and we're watching it. And I remember one of my buddies had brought like glass bottles, like one of those things that he brought the glass bottles. And I remember like halfway through the movie, one of them fell over, got kicked over and fell over. And so you could hear it roll.
I have that same kind of story.
Rolled all the way from where we were sitting, like all the way to the back, and it never hit anything. It just rolled the whole way down. No feet, no, it rolled all the way to the bottom.
I think I may have told you this story.
And it was so funny, but I laughed my butt off watching that movie. That was one of the best. In fact, now that I'm talking about it, I think I need to go see if I can find a copy of it and watch that again, because that really was just
we watched that in Iraq.
Oh yeah,
it was like all we needed. It was amazing. I love the original Kings of Comedy.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Mine is my number one is Avengers Endgame, because I've never cheered so many times in a movie and cried. I mean, and it'll tie into a question later about hype, but it was leading up to that movie was insane for me. And then finally getting to watch it, Banana and I went on the midnight. Well, they stopped having midnight shows recently, so it was like the 10 o'clock show or whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole crowd was insane, and seeing Captain America pick up Mjolnir was incredible.
Yeah.
And then the portal scene. Just everybody in that audience that night was electric for everybody. And then the sad scenes, everybody's crying, and it was an incredible experience.
I think that's probably, I don't have a lot of like regrets about not seeing something, but I think I do have a tinge of regret in not seeing Endgame premiere night. I really should have gone to see that.
It's so incredible. And then my second is when my buddies and I camped out 13 hours for episode 2.
Oh, okay. Well, that's funny.
And we were actually on TV for it. We were out at the theater there off of Hampton and I-25.
Yeah.
We were doing a lightsaber fight in the parking lot while we were waiting. So, and then just seeing, we were seniors and we were out of school actually. So
because it would have been May.
Yeah.
It premiered in May, I think.
And seniors got out like early May.
Mm-hmm.
And so just an incredible like high school time moment.
Right.
You're seeing it with your friends and it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It was just, it's up there. And I remember us walking out of the movie thinking, that was the coolest thing ever, but it's midnight show, so you think it's awesome. And
and after a while
then it all sinks in later. So.
Yeah.
All right. Good answers.
Yeah, thanks. That was a good question. So okay, so and I guess I've kind of talked about my first one, but what's the best memory you have of a movie or TV show? So watching a movie or TV show, do you have like one particular memory that like makes you the happiest, like something that like really may not have been the best movie or may not have been the best TV show or whatever, but it's very memorable for you and like has the best.
Well, Endgame for sure. When Steve Rogers, when Mjolnir came back and Steve caught it.
How'd that make you feel? Like, I mean, how did that?
I've never felt like a rush through my body like that.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see that.
Yeah.
So there's that end of the spectrum.
Right.
And then there was the Luke Skywalker in the end of Mandalorian season 2.
Oh yeah.
When I'm in tears watching it because I'm so happy. Yeah. So in one I'm like just jolting on fire with nerdiness.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'm like letting it all out emotionally
Yeah.
in a way. And so both movie and TV show, to answer that question, because I've never like had uncontrollable, like I couldn't control myself in those moments.
Yeah.
In those 2 moments.
Yeah.
More so than any other movie or TV show experience. And I'll tell you, the end of season 3 of Lost is up there too. We have to go back.
Yeah.
I still to this day have never had my jaw hit the ground harder and faster
Right.
when I realized I was watching flash forward. So yeah, I'd say that. What about you?
I still tie back to my I went and saw Lethal Weapon with my grandfather and my dad. You know, this was like 1985, I think, is when the first Lethal Weapon came out, 85 or 86, something like that. And it was just very memorable that it was the 3 of us, because it was the first time I've ever saw a movie with my grandfather in the movie theater. And of course, the first opening scene is this topless gal, you know, and I'm sitting in between my dad and my grandfather. And my grandfather is like the most Christian dude there is. And I'm like, oh, Lord, you know, and I'm thinking, can I see this? And I'm waiting for my dad to cover my eyes, and he never did, you know. And I was like, this is awesome, you know.
You can see this tonight, son.
Yeah. And so I think probably that, or going back to that first memory with going to see Star Trek 2 with my dad, you know, seeing that one, that's been a big one of mine. I remember and maybe I'll save this one for a little bit later, but I have another memory early on of stuff. But yeah, I think I think going back to Lost also, I don't think I've ever been more emotional about a TV show finale than I was the finale for Lost. Like I really just, because you know, by that point I'd spent several years, and I think more than any show that I've ever watched, you know, like I watched Friends and everything, but I don't know that I ever necessarily, it was a comedy show, so I don't know that I necessarily connected with them, because you don't really get too deep with those characters, you know, whereas Lost, they really let you get very deep with those characters. And so when I knew that I was not going to get any more stories from those, and I wasn't going to be able to be with those people anymore, you know, in a TV show sense or whatever, it was very emotional, you know, knowing that this was their last. So sure. I was very emotional watching the end of that. So yeah,
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Quick like bonus answer for me is funny enough, episode 3, I came home from my 2-week like home. I was in 2005 deployed to Iraq, and you get 2 weeks.
Was your second tour?
Second tour. You get to come home for 2 weeks.
Right.
In the middle of your tour, and I got to go to LA with my dad to go to the E3 convention.
Oh.
And do stuff for his work, for his business at the time. And we went and saw, it was at the time when episode 3 premiered. So I got to see episode 3 in LA.
Nice.
In, you know, in the middle of being in Iraq.
Right.
You know?
In the middle of a war. Because it's like, hey, time out. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Right. And my accent was a month prior to that. So it's crazy. Crazy feeling, you know, cool to watch Star Wars with my dad.
Yeah.
With, you know, while I'm in LA, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah.
So I'll put that up there. Not that it was anywhere near the kind of movie experience. This is the overall experience. Okay.
Yep.
This is Banana's question, and she, don't look. Stop looking.
Sorry.
No cheating.
Too late.
She came out with a good one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough one.
Okay.
Best scored movie of all time.
That is a challenging one. It's hard to narrow down.
It really is.
To just one. I think if I really,
I think I have a good answer, right? So I'm interested to hear what you say.
There's stuff that you listen to over and over and over again, and there's stuff that you have to have on like your movie playlist of stuff, and it's not necessarily what I share with like Jackson. So like Jackson, I'll put in like Transformers. Steve Jablonsky's score for that is really and he loves those Transformer movies.
Yeah, it's a good score.
John Williams, gosh, what doesn't John Williams do amazing? So I've got Raiders of the Lost Ark for him. I've got Star Wars. I've got Harry Potter. I've got Jurassic Park.
E.T.
E.T. I got all this stuff. Although he did ask me,
Superman.
Jackson asked me to remove E.T. from the playlist because the movie scared him. Like E.T. scared him, because he was just a little guy. But I think
that's such a good score too.
It's hard to say just one.
Just one, yeah, I'm sure.
I would have to say, if you really cornered me, I would have to say that Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings is probably the best scored, and you could do all three movies, like all three as a compilation. I think, because really when he scored all that, he did it all at the same time, all at the same period. The amount of research that he put into the traditional instruments for various peoples over time, and then used those, just amazing. So
that was going to be my answer, is Lord of the Rings. It just hits different in the movie. Like, it's if you're talking about best scored movie, not even necessarily like I'd throw Inception in the hat. That really changed the game.
Yep.
And so you got the greatest themes of all time, but maybe not the best scored movie.
Right.
And so when you listen to Lord of the Rings, how could it be any different? Any of a different answer than Lord of the Rings, because it's so, and I hate this word, it's so epic. It's the definition of epic.
Fits. Really fits. It really does.
It's not just the hyperbole usage of that word.
Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's actually a really great point about the distinction between a great theme song and a great score.
Yeah.
Because I think like the Star Wars movies, like I have a feeling John Williams is the master at the
Jurassic
theme
Park.
song, at really that theme song. But I don't know that he's necessarily a master at scoring an entire movie from beginning to end. I think you can't really see it over my shoulder here, but I have The Dark Knight, and I would say that if I had to pick a second one, The Dark Knight with Howard Shore, or I'm sorry, with James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer scoring that one together.
That was pretty incredible.
Just really, really great. Really, really great. And Hans Zimmer is like just one of my favorites. It's a great question.
Yeah, great job, Banana. Okay, your turn.
Okay, so this kind of dovetails off of, I like memory. I think memories are important, and I think having positive, things to remember. So what's your first memory of going to a movie theater, or and then maybe like extra credit. I mean, you kind of probably already talked about with Endgame, but what's your best experience at a movie theater, or a really great experience you had at a movie theater?
Yeah, so I already answered best experience because that was Endgame for me, and then Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But funny enough, my first memory of going to a movie is watching Batman Returns in 1992.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember the hype leading up to that movie because I loved Batman. It was a huge movie.
Yeah.
And then the marketing for Batman Returns was great, with the 3-headed poster of Danny DeVito's the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, and then Michael Keaton's Batman. They were on top of each other. And one of my favorite, toys as a kid, like growing up, was the McDonald's toy of the Batmobile splitting.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I had that toy forever. I don't know why I kept that toy for so long, but I actually
Batmobile
thought
was
about this
awesome.
question not too long ago. I feel like maybe I was listening to a podcast and this question was asked. And I was like, I'm mowing my lawn. I'm like, what was my first movie going experience?
Yeah.
And so I like try to scan through my head about all these movies that came out before, and I can't remember watching anything before Batman Returns, and I think about all these big movies.
Yeah.
So, but watching Batman Returns, I remember watching that in the theater, and I remember the hype leading up to it, and it actually leads into one of my other questions. I'll get to. I won't give it away right now, but
Sure.
I'll tie it back to that.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, we've already talked about Star Trek 2, as being my first memory of being in a movie theater.
Yeah.
But I have actually very clear memory of seeing, and more so seeing. I have very clear memories of waiting in line to see Return of the Jedi. We were there premiere night.
Oh yeah, because you're so much older than me.
I am so much older. Obviously, I'm so much older than you.
I'm gonna drink that.
But you shouldn't, because although I am gonna drink a little. But I just say obviously because it's so much more gray and the beard.
I don't. That's why I wear a hat so they can't see how many. I have more
Yeah.
gray than you.
I don't have any gray up here. I really don't. I think I pulled one the other day out of here. I was like,
I've got a longer
beard. But the beard, for some reason, like down here, like this looks like I just have a mustache because
that's why I told you you should just go
I
with
should
the
probably
mustache.
just go with it, the cop mustache or porn stash or whatever. But yeah,
awesome to me both ways.
I remember waiting in line to see Return of the Jedi, and I remember seeing Return of the Jedi. I especially remember the Rancor, because that scene with the Rancor was I think I was 7.
I was gonna say, were you 7 or 8 years old?
I was 7 or 8 years old at that point, and it was scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it was really scary, and I was like, oh my gosh, So, so I do remember seeing that, and that was that's a great memory. So early on, the Batman Returns. I think Batman Returns has one of the best. Christopher Walken has the line where he throws her out of the window, after she's come back to life once already, and then and I'm not going to quote it, but you can look it up. But he says that that comes that so and so comes at me again, I'll drop her out of a higher window. It's just and the way Christopher Walken delivers his lines.
What's so funny is I don't, for some reason, always forget about when you think about great Christopher Walken roles.
Right.
I always forget about his role in Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
It's so it's an underrated Walken performance. Okay.
I think it's funny. I actually have the same question for number 3. So
top 5?
Yeah. So this is going to be great. So,
cool. And you know what? Stop cheating off my paper.
I'm sorry. I can't.
It's okay. So we can answer it together.
Yeah.
So this came out or came in my head because last week we talked about my top 3 with Empire, Back to the Future 1, and Forrest Gump was my top 3, and so I thought, well, the Winter Soldier is number 4 for me. Captain America: Winter Soldier. It's the first time I had seen like my full-on childhood hero, grown up comic hero. Him, and I'm still waiting for Cyclops' moment, but it's the first time I saw Captain America be like the biggest badass that he can be on screen.
Yeah.
First Avenger was good, and it had a lot of just typical action in it. And not as much super soldier action.
Yeah.
The Avengers was just kind of a little bit of a continuation of that. In fact, I feel like he was the worst part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
He had a couple good parts, but it's like Joss Whedon never really knew what to do with him.
Sure.
And so then when the Winter Soldier came out, we did a midnight showing. It was our good buddy of the show, Manny, who did the logo. for
yeah.
the show.
Yeah, great job, Manny.
And Banana. We went and we watched the first Avenger first, and then it played the Winter Soldier after.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always a quiet guy in the theater. Like I don't say much unless it's in game or this. And the first time when he's on the boat and he kicks that dude over the boat,
yeah,
I know shit said. I go, oh, like
right.
dang.
Yeah.
Finally getting some like, and then the rest of that scene, I was like, yes, oh man. And I'm like, I couldn't control myself. And so it was just like that time in in-game where I'm like, I can't control myself. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm cheering like it's a football game. So
when I do the demo for people in the theater here, like people come by and be like, hey.
Yeah, the boat scene. Then
I
demoed you the boat scene.
I always
in my
do the
theater.
boat scene here in the theater. I do, it's usually that. I do the boat scene in that.
Yeah.
I will do the Swick boat scene from the Act of Valor movie with the Navy SEALs.
Yeah. Yep. And then I think number 5 for me is probably in game, or it might be 5A and 5B in game in Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
Great freaking movie.
Yeah.
So that's my top 5. It's so hard to just narrow down. I mean,
well, you almost
how
have
many
to.
great movies out there are there?
Yeah, I thought about this question because when I was thinking about asking you the same question, I thought to myself, you almost have to break it down by genre, if you will, and then kind of rank genre, and then say, okay, so my number 1 film, probably my favorite movie, and I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a Western guy, but my number 1 film is probably Tombstone. Like I love Tombstone. It is the score to it is really great. The acting in it is phenomenal.
It should be in everybody's top 10.
Yeah, it just is a great movie. Val Kilmer is amazing in it. Kurt Russell is phenomenal. Bill Paxton. Gosh, what's his name?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott is really great.
Yeah. Everybody. I don't think there's a weak part, or the only weak part in the show is Wyatt's first wife.
Yeah,
she's
really
kind of
Dana Delaney is just lovely in that movie. Billy Zane is Billy Zane. But you get Powers Booth as the leader of the Cowboys, and then
Johnny Ringo,
probably the most underrated actor in all of Hollywood, Michael Biehn as Johnny Ringo. The guy just turns in. He's probably one of the best character actors there are out there.
Yeah.
And he turns in. He was in The Mandalorian. He had a small role in The Mandalorian, and he still turned it into a dynamite thing. Like you look at it and you go, "That's Michael Biehn," and he knocks it out of the park, even at 60-some years old. I mean, the guy's getting up there, and he just still knocks it out in just small roles.
Right.
And you can't ask for anything more than that. So okay, so Tombstone is probably my number 1. My number 2 would definitely be Die Hard. I just love Die Hard. I think it's just one of the. Yep. Sorry.
Might be number 6 for me.
Yeah. Number 3 is gonna have to be Empire Strikes Back. I absolutely love The Empire Strikes Back.
There's so many scenes in that movie that just hit on a different level. Like you're like, this, there's nothing like this.
Yeah.
When he says, but you're not a Jedi yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gets me every time. Yeah. Every time. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
and I remember from my childhood the scene. It was like always on TV when I was growing up.
Right.
I remember the indoor chasing and the abominable snowman scene where he's hanging upside down. Yeah. Those are 2 scenes I feel like I saw on TV all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So
okay, that's 3.
So that's 3. So I would probably say, and again, you can't see the posters here, but
Magic Mike is up here on the wall.
That's right. God, I love that
And
Channing.
Magic Mike too.
Love that Channing Tatum. I wanted to hate Channing Tatum.
I know, I really did.
I
Yeah.
really did, but he seems like such a good dude, you know.
He's
and
so,
I just-
he started out a little rough. He started
Yeah.
out a little wooden in Hollywood, and
Right.
then he had a year in like 2012. He
Yeah.
had The Vow, and he had some other. He had 21 Jump
The
Street.
21 Jump Street is what
It
really
was the same
changed
year,
me.
yeah.
It really changed my opinion.
And it was funny because in the beginning of G.I. Joe 2, he's in it for like the first 15 minutes.
Right.
And he's really great. He's really charismatic in it.
Yep.
And they kill him off, and
They
they
kill
were
him off.
probably thinking, this guy is actually really good. Why do we have to
Right.
kill him off? But we have to now.
Right.
So we cannot go back apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the final two I'll round it out as The Dark Knight
Okay.
at number 4. I really love The Dark Knight.
Okay.
And then Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
Those are and Raiders actually it's neck and neck with Star Trek 2.
Yeah. Like 5A, 5B.
Yeah, it really is. Like I could swap them at any moment and be like, you know,
Yep,
right now this one's yeah,
Yeah.
that's so really Raiders. I think the thing with Raiders is you know, Star Trek 2 had it was so great coming off of how bad the first movie was, you
Yeah.
know, and like I said, me personally, just because of its you know, I've seen Star Wars, and you had some space battles in Star Wars, but there really weren't that many space battles in like Empire Strikes Back. You know, there really wasn't. You had like the Hoth scene, but then you didn't really have like
Right.
a lot of space battle stuff. You had the swords and
The
stuff.
asteroid
Yeah.
scene. Really.
Yeah, the asteroid belt scene, but that was about it. You know, whereas Star Trek 2 had this like, it was almost like this submarine warfare feel to it, you know, except it was in 3 dimensions, and it just the intensity of that last scene where they're chasing each other through that nebula and the screens are all blank and stuff. It was just so cool. But Raiders had, you know, there was really not a lot of really great action movies before Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like
Mhm.
it's really hard to find a really great action movie from beginning to end, you know, and George Lucas just he had a really great vision for I think those serials of his when he was a kid. You know, they used to have these serial TV shows like on Saturday mornings, you know, where
Yeah.
they had these guys, you know, and that was a big memory for him when he was
Can
when
I
he was a
forget
kid.
Spielberg directed Raiders,
Yeah.
dude? That
Yep.
guy,
Yep.
man. Okay. Good list.
Yeah, so that's the top 5 for me, top
Okay.
5, top 6, if you will. So
All right. I think well, since we combined that, now we're
Yeah.
both on 4. Why
We
don't you
both.
ask yours?
okay, so what's your most quotable movie?
Oh gosh, that's a really, really, really hard question to answer.
It is, yeah. Because I find that and I'll just kind of lead a little bit on this.
It's usually comedy.
It almost always is a comedy, and it also depends on who I'm with. You know, because I have different movies that I saw with different friends,
Yeah.
and you know, or you just are kind of in sync with people about certain movies and stuff. So
What's your answer? If you're with me.
Sure. Well, I actually just quoted from it earlier. I find Tommy Boy is probably one of my
Yeah,
most quotable
up there.
movies of
All time.
all time. It really just fits a lot of me and a lot of my personality,
Yeah.
and just
I've never once quote Tommy
what
Boy.
I just quoted it earlier.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
No. That wasn't Tommy Boy.
it was Tommy Boy.
No, I'm joking. Of course it
We
was.
just talked about the oil can.
Right. Yeah. Totally Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
That's a hard question. Man. True Lies, like,
That's a good
and
one.
there's a different ways you can answer this movie. Are you referencing it like within the context of something you're doing, or is it something you just can quote every move?
Right.
You know, quote the whole
I think
the
the way,
whole movie.
yeah, I think the
If
way
you're watching it,
I think the way I was looking at it was like, what movie do you quote the most, like in real life, when you're doing stuff and like you find that it applies to life in general?
I
I
mean,
think,
I honestly, this is going to sound maybe a little bit weird, but
yeah,
Top Gun.
I don't think,
That's
I think if you actually, funny story, like I listened to this other podcast called the Fighter Pilot Podcast, and
Yeah.
they had the guy on who actually is the commanding officer of Top Gun,
Yeah.
the actual fighter weapons school. And they have a jar where if you do a quote from the movie Top Gun, you have to put a $20 bill into this jar, and then then they buy people, buy rounds of beer or whatever.
So many questions in that movie.
Yeah.
Also, Armageddon. Armageddon has a lot of great
It's a great
quotes to use.
great
I
quotable.
quoted it earlier with Uranus. So
right. Yeah.
it's that I would say that, or basically any 90s action movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm quoting a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for sure. So yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
I am.
Number 4. Would you rather have experience of a really great movie or the experience of a really great TV show?
I think I think probably a great TV show. I think yeah, I think a TV show, because you just get more bang for your buck, and you get deeper into, I mean, obviously when you have
You
movies,
said obviously.
when you have movies, and if you have multiple movies like a trilogy, or like the Star Wars stuff or Star Trek, where you have multiple movies in that,
Right.
it allows you to get a deeper relationship with the characters, and a deeper, and I think that's what I crave more than anything, is that deeper connection with those particular characters and with those particular storylines and all that. So yeah,
Crave that connection.
yeah. I mean, I think that's that human connection with these people, and I think the more you make them more human, you show their flaws. And I think that's what I enjoyed about Lost a lot, was like each of those people was like seriously flawed, seriously flawed people, but they're you can see their capacity for both good in their life and bad in their life, and watching people, I think that's what I enjoy the most. You watch these characters overcome their circumstances, or the character arc, they start off in this really bad place.
Said everybody had great qualities. That's why he chose them to be leaders.
Right.
But they needed somebody who had gone through some shit. So
right. Yeah.
For me, this is what I boiled down to. A great movie isn't like it's up there.
Yeah.
When you get a great movie and you're walking out of the theater and you're on fire because it was so good.
Yeah.
Walking out of Winter Soldier, walking out of Endgame, those were amazing.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is how I know I'm watching a great show, or a show I'm gonna love.
Yeah.
Is I dream about it. I dream like I'm trying to think. What was the last? Sweet Tooth. I watched Sweet Tooth. So good. If you haven't watched Sweet Tooth, watch Sweet Tooth. It's on Netflix. Incredible little story. How it ties in with the current pandemic is really crazy. And watching it, I'm like, this is such a great show. And then I start dreaming about it.
Yeah.
I feel like there was another one recently. I want to say it was maybe even Bridgerton, but I can tell when I'm watching a show that I may like, or I may even dislike. I don't dream about it. But if it's one of those life-changing shows,
right?
The Last Kingdom last year in the pandemic for us, we got into that show on Netflix. Incredible show. If you need to watch that.
Yeah.
I was dreaming about me being in that time in England, in the medieval times.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I've ever gone home and after having an incredible, even after Endgame. Like I didn't dream about being in Endgame.
Yeah.
But I dream about these great TV shows. So it's trick question really, because the big giant movies are what's shaped me the most.
Sure.
And
yeah.
TV's only really come along in the last,
We really are living in the golden age of television. I
yeah,
think.
we're getting so much good stuff on
Yeah.
TV these days that we didn't necessarily get before. Like Lost was really the first big show that just changed everything. And
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that as like it started with that changed me, because I didn't watch Lost at first.
Right.
Heroes really was the first show for me, but Lost changed everything.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, okay, your final
Yeah.
fifth
Fifth and final question for
fifth
you.
and final.
What movie, or I guess TV show,
Yeah.
were you or are you most excited about sharing with your kids?
Oh, I think I even said this the other day to Penny. I was like, I can't wait to watch Lost with you. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
So, Penny and I are watching some TV shows together. She loves the Marvel shows. She loves the Star Wars shows. So she needs to be a little bit older to understand Lost, or to start, like, although her capacity to understand things, even I am amazed at times, because I remember showing her Back to the Future.
Right.
And I remember her being like, "Now, Daddy, when are they?"
Right.
Instead of
right.
Where are they?
Right. Yeah. That's pretty
knowing
clever.
that they were at a different time, and she
Yeah.
said when. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get her into Lost at some point, because I know she's gonna love it.
Yeah.
So Joey's not necessarily into TV yet, so
yeah, she's still
Cocomelon, she just kind of, she watches, and that's about all she'll watch.
Cocomelon. She does love the Cocomelon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I was most excited to share, and this actually passed pretty early on. I was probably most excited to share with them Aladdin.
Oh, that's a really great answer.
I adore the movie Aladdin, and so when they were old enough,
favorite Disney movie too.
Yeah. When they were, and so when they were old enough to start watching, the animated stuff, I think we started Amelia out with like Cinderella.
Yeah.
And gosh, she watched Cinderella so many times.
Yeah.
And then we had Nemo was on and all this other stuff, but I was really excited to share Aladdin with them, because it was always my favorite, and I just felt like it was a really fun movie that we could all watch together.
Right.
I was a little nervous when they redid the live action version of it with Will Smith as the genie.
I haven't seen it
yet. Do yourself a favor and watch it. Will Smith does an admirable job, and he just is Will Smith, and so he steps in and does a fantastic job where Robin Williams, as the genie.
No, ever touch Robin Williams.
Right. I loved the people that they cast as Aladdin and Jasmine. They both were they're beautiful people, and it was a great job. And Guy Ritchie does this amazing job of.
Is that director?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he does this amazing job of making it almost like a Bollywood style, like the music scenes. Right. They almost have like a Bollywood feel to them, and it's great. There's so many colors. There's so much. The music is fantastic, and they kept all the great parts of the original and stuff. So I was pleasantly surprised and so sharing that with them was great too, when we all watched it together for the first time. So, yeah.
I thought I just heard. Did I just mess up audio?
I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah.
We're here at the end almost.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was mine. So I think you're the last. Do the last one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have it for you. Okay. So talk to me about the most you've ever been hyped for a movie. Like Which movie was it, and what was the hype like for you?
Shoot, man, because there's been a lot.
I know.
There's a lot of really great stuff.
I have to go back to 1995 for me, but go ahead.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna go back even further.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
'Cause
back to
you're
1989. I am obviously older than
Ooh,
you.
do I get to guess it? 1989.
Yeah.
Is it Batman 89?
It is.
Yeah.
So that summer was
I didn't just spill over here. People got
amazing. Yeah, because he's already spilled over on this side. So so that summer they had I remember they did a show on like I think it was Entertainment Tonight did like this whole segment or something. I can't remember what channel it was. But they did this segment on like the blockbusters that were coming in the summer of '89. And of course, Batman with Michael Keaton was, the primary one that they hyped up. And they had so many great behind the scenes stuff, like they were showing the Batmobile, and oh my gosh, just thought it was the coolest. I mean, that Batmobile was so sick. I mean, just absolutely
so sick. Is still so
it
sick.
still is just
I'd still drive
amazing.
that thing down the street.
Absolutely. And
especially in a snowstorm.
And they also had James Cameron's The Abyss on there, and they showed a ton of behind the scenes for The Abyss. But I have to say, '89 Batman, I was so jazzed to go see that movie and so excited to watch it. And there was so much hype around that movie that and I was old enough to know what was going on.
Yeah.
That I think that one, it was probably second runner up on that. If I could, would be Terminator 2.
Okay.
And then maybe the Star Wars, the first Star Wars prequel.
Yeah.
Because we did camp out. We did camp out for the prequel. For episode 1.
Yeah.
I remember my buddy Kent and we watched that one, and it was awesome. So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And you? Endgame.
Well, I think Endgame is the most I've ever been hyped.
Yeah.
But like the first time I can remember really being just out of my mind hyped for a movie is Batman Forever.
Okay.
I think that's like when I really cemented myself as a nerd, where I remember there's one time we were at Grandma and Grandpa's house and like a party or something. I think it was Easter because it was coming up on release of the movie. And I remember just sitting in the chair quoting the trailer or quoting the TV commercials.
Right.
And just it was all I could think about at that time.
Yeah.
And we saw it. We went and saw it at the Bowles Crossing Theater in Littleton, which is so funny that that's now my home theater.
Right.
As an adult, because I've moved right by it.
Yeah.
But I remember, like I said before, I always sat in front of my parents at the movie theater. And I remember Dad, as the movie was starting, put his hand over my eyes, just as like one last joke.
Right.
Because he knew how excited I was. And he put his hand over my eyes just as a joke, and then put his hand on my shoulders and he squeezed it. He was like, "You ready for this?" It's just like, it was like I was born ready for this, obviously. Not drink on it.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I really just super freaking hyped. I remember the logo. Every time we went to the movies, I was praying for a Batman Forever trailer I've seen already. And it wasn't like I could just go to the internet and download the trailer.
Yeah, this was prior to those days. Yeah.
I don't even know how I was able to watch it so many times, because I think you could only watch trailers in the movies at that time.
Oh,
1995.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have little 30-second spots on TV.
There was those two. There was those two, but
yep.
It wasn't like today where you can just go to YouTube and watch the
Yeah.
same trailer 100 times over.
Well, yeah, and I mean, back in '96, everybody was running 14.4, 28.8 modems. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you got a 50, if you're rich, you had a 56K, and it would take you.
Oh yeah.
It would take you,
Take you 4 hours. To
an hour to download an hour to download a song. You know, if
or
that
a
tells you
picture
anything.
of a naked woman,
Yeah, right.
with pixels. And so, man, I had one I really liked to download. Anyway, that was it. And clearly, the Star Wars, Zach Olson, Richard Barker, and Eli Stevens and I, were so excited for that. We'd get to school at 7 a.m. We'd go into the computer lab. We'd get on the internet, go to force.net.
Yeah.
And read all the latest things every day.
Yep.
And then for episode 2, we camped out. So
I remember that trailer for episode 1. Where I think you hear Maul say, "At last,
we'll
have reveal ourselves to the Jedi." Yeah. Oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that first trailer was awesome, and then they got crazy with the amount of trailers that would be released for episode 2. Like they had them all on their website. It was like 8 total trailers for that movie, and some of them, I mean, they were all like 2-minute trailers. But I remember at the end of one of the trailers, it showed the clone troopers in the dust at the end, in the end battle.
Oh right.
And it, droids were firing at them, and they were firing at droids. So it was such a cool, like, chaotic, like, quick scene.
Right.
And I remember watching it in the theater, like, thinking, that's not as cool as the trailer.
Right. Yeah.
Because when it's clipped together as a one quick scene, it's like, wow, that was awesome. So,
well, hell, Michael Bay's made a whole career out of that 1 second quick shot, So.
Yep. So I'd still say, though, like, the most I've ever been hyped for movies in game.
Yeah.
The months leading up to that were nauseating for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, can we get to it already?
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't I knew it wasn't going to be the end of the MCU, and I also knew they were bringing back the characters who got dusted.
Yeah.
So it was just like, hey, I knew this was going to be a bigger movie for Captain America, because they said it.
Sure.
They said guys who didn't have as big a role in Infinity War will have a bigger role in Endgame, and Endgame is definitely a Cap and Tony story.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of told through those two characters' perspective.
Yeah. So what about, like, from a hype perspective, kind of conversely, what movie were you like super hyped for, watched it, and you walked out of the theater going, oh,
okay,
what
so
a bomb,
I'm really glad you asked that, because that was going to be like the second part of my show my question is, all these movies I've been so hyped for, and they didn't live up to, like, Endgame lived up to the hype.
Sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier 2.
Yeah.
Civil War. Those movies definitely lived up to my hype. But then, there's movies that were good. They didn't live up to the trailer or hype or whatever. But
right.
I'd definitely say I was so hyped for X-Men 3, The Last Stand. The first X-Men 3.
Okay.
In 2006. And I remember Brett and I were both so excited. We were just, the trailer was amazing.
Yeah.
They're coming off X2, which was a great movie then. And they kill off Cyclops in the first 10 minutes, and the rest of the movie is in the top 5, maybe top 3 of worst comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. And I've never walked out of the theater so pissed off in my life until The Last Jedi.
Okay.
The Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I always say those 2 movies are my most hyped movies that I've ever been hyped for a movie and walked out just like, what? like so angry. Like I couldn't even process it. Not a close third, but definitely third for me. Probably is actually Spider-Man 3 of the Raimi Spider Sam Raimi Spider-Man
Sure,
verse
yeah.
with Tobey Maguire. Definitely walked out of that movie a bit disappointed in it. So, what about you?
Mine's pretty cut and dried. I wouldn't even call it a close second, but the one I think I was the most there was a lot of hype going into it, and I was really pumped for it. Was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You know, I mean, I remember thinking 5 minutes into that movie, you know, this can't be like, when does the real movie start? Like, this is this like a short that they're doing like
Right,
before
yeah.
it, and then the movie's going to start after this, or when does it actually happen? You know, and then it
Or they're
just
going to be like on a Hollywood set in the
right,
movie,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
they're like, oh, okay, that's why
right,
it looked bad.
yeah, because it looked like a Hollywood set. Like, I mean, and
Right.
it just
I
it
remember you
just
telling me
it
that.
just
Yeah.
got worse and worse and worse, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. And I think that's what made the South Park episode so funny, when they were talking about, you know, like they made such a great show out of, you know, that I won't go into that, but it was really funny what they did with
Yeah.
that. Uh and then I wouldn't say that I was crazy hyped for the movie. I mean, I was really looking forward to seeing it. I had other things on my mind that day, but I think I went opening day to see Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh yeah, for your on your wedding day.
Yeah, I saw that on my wedding day. Um, so I remember being hyped to see that movie. I was like, oh sweet, I
Yeah.
cannot wait for it. I loved the first Star Trek movie that they did.
First Star Trek,
Chris
yeah.
Pine, the Chris
Oh, yeah.
Pine
Yep.
cast. And so I was really looking forward to this Into Darkness. You know, they have this new up and coming actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, who I'd seen him in some other stuff, and he was just amazing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so seeing him as the bad guy was going to be super cool. And it just fell flat. You know, I think they tried to be too tricky with it, or too clever,
Yeah.
and they kind of, you know, shot themselves in the foot. It wasn't a terrible movie, but it
I
just
mean, think
didn't
about
work.
if. Okay, so that was a remake of Wrath of Khan, which was the second Star Trek movie. Imagine if they tried to remake Empire. You know,
Yeah, that's
you couldn't ever live up to that, and so
that's why I think it was a
why I
mistake for them.
That's why I said last week, on the podcast with Brian's great question, you know, you can't just remake the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's other stories out there for Star Trek.
yeah. I think
so that didn't help.
you could have brought Khan into the equation in a different way,
Yeah.
and had him be a great villain for you, even over time. You know,
Right.
like, yeah, you just have this one movie, but you could really have made him a great villain repeatedly for that cast and that crew. And so, yeah, like I said, Indiana Jones, hands down, biggest disappointment. So
Cool. Okay. Good
Yeah.
answer, because that's really up there. I mean, it's, you know, like when you have one of the, you know, one of you.
I mean, The Last Crusade was awesome.
Yeah,
You know, it was
yeah.
such a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, Sean Connery
Right.
and Harrison Ford in it. Dr. Elsa Schneider.
Yeah.
You know, like it was great. You know, I loved what they did with you know, in the first movie, you know, the guy that he was with, and I can't think of his name right this very second, but the guy that he was at the school with, you know, he always seemed like such a smart dude, and then they kind of made him like a bumbling idiot in the third movie, you know, and it was kind of cool to give a little more depth to that character. But yeah, Last Crusade was so great. So when they did the Crystal Skull, and it was just such a disappointment. It was just hard. But
yeah. Well, it was a lot of hype around it, and it just it was It wasn't even just a bad like twist at the end. It was just a bad
Yeah.
overall movie.
Yeah,
It was
it just
incredible.
it never
So
it
much
didn't
talent
work.
involved with that.
Yeah, that's what
So-
happens when people don't tell people no.
Yeah, exactly. What a show! I loved
is great.
doing those nerd questions with you. So really appreciate you, Eric.
Thanks, you too, bud.
Appreciate you letting us borrow your movie theater for an on location uh, episode, and with a little bit more personal and intimate. It was good to get some interview questions with you.
Yeah, that
done
was
and
fun. That was fun.
Test your nerd knowledge for yourself. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, and
Yeah.
great questions. So if you haven't noticed, we've been eating popcorn and
Spilling popcorn all over.
spilling popcorn, and we've got our movie snacks here. We want to give a little bit of a movie theater experience while doing this and have it for ourselves as well. So we really appreciate you guys watching and listening in.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll see you next week on the Nerd Rundown.
Yeah. See ya.